In this video, we will look at some things you can do to polish your online course, such as adding in slide transitions and animation effects. We will also tweak some of the slides as we go if necessary. So first, let's add slide transitions. So to do this, you can go up to transitions here, and then you can pick one of the ones that you'd like. For this course, I chose fade. And then you can go over here on the right hand side, you can adjust the duration and there's effect options. So we'll just make sure we have smoothly selected there. And we'll set the duration at 0.75. And we'll also click this button here to apply to all. Although there are going to be a few slides where we're going to take off the slide transitions because we want to make a tabbed interaction, so we don't need animation effects on step 1 through 5 slides because of the buttons. So I'll get to that in a minute. So just click this button, apply to all. And then we'll go down to the juggling process slide here. And we'll make sure that we take the slide transition off of this slide. So just click none, and then do the same thing for steps 1 through 5. So I'm going to step 1 now, and I'm going to click none under this transition tab here. And then step 2, none. Step 3, none. Step 4, none. And step 5, none. Before we preview this, we're going to go back to the process slide here, and we're going to make sure the properties for all these slides with the buttons are set so that when we revisit these slides, because of the button interaction, they are set to reset to initial state. Otherwise, the buttons are going to be blue sometimes and red the next time, so we got to make sure that they always reset to the initial state, so the initial state of these buttons. So for instance, for step 1, we always want the initial state of button 1 for step 1 to be blue. So we have to make sure these are set. So go to the process slide, go over to the bottom right here, right click and go to properties. And you see how it says when revisiting, automatically decide. Change that to reset to initial state. And do the same thing for steps 1 through 5. Okay, so I've set those in the properties to reset to the initial state for all of those slides. So let's just make sure we save this. And then we can go and preview the whole thing, and you'll see the slide transition effects, and you'll be able to see the button effects now. So you saw the fading there. And there's fading there. We're going to set some other entrance animation effects here too in a minute, but I just want to show you the overall look. So here we are at the juggling process slide. So I can click through these and it will look like these buttons just stay there on the screen. In step 5, but we're shifting to different slides. So it's a quick way to make a tabbed interaction this way. For step 1, stand comfortably with feet shoulder. And you can see the knowledge check questions. Okay, so I didn't complete that, so we'll just go down and just click this way. And the last one. All right, so let's go back now. So we're going to go back to the title screen now, and I'm going to walk you through what animations I've put on certain elements on the screen for each of the slides. So we'll go through that step by step now. So for the Learn How to Juggle text box, go up to animations, and I've set an entrance animation for fade, And I just left all the default settings here. So for most of the fades that I put on, elements on the screen, I've left the default settings. So you just have to go and click fade. The easy way text box has a zoom animation on it. So go to zoom, and I've left all the default settings there as well. The avatar, so click on the avatar. She has a zoom animation, but we've already set that previously, and these balls should also have zoom animations on them, and they do. You can tell that because of this little star that's put next to them. And let's also make sure the slide properties for the slide are set to reset to initial state. So I'm going to change that here as well. And now let's preview this slide. Okay, so I think that's all we have to do for that one. So now the learning objective slide. We already set most of the animations to go on this slide because we wanted to create this cascading effect. So that's all done. Let's just set an animation on the avatar to fade in. So click fade. And let's go over to the layer here called juggling animation and make sure that there are entrance animations on this as well. Let's set these to fade. They're set at zoom right now because they were copied from another slide, but let's set those to fade instead. There we go. And let's make sure the properties are set to reset to initial state. Now sometimes you don't have to do that, but with these ones I like to, just to make sure that the animations and everything works properly. Okay, so let's preview that slide. So everything faded in, that came in. All right, I think that's good. And now we'll go to what you will need slide. So let's set fade animations on all of these. So the ball dial interaction set to fade in, the avatar set to fade, and the caption set to fade. And let's make sure the properties are set to reset to the initial state. And for the layers over here, for the text boxes that appear on screen, we're going to set these to fade in as well. Okay, so now let's go preview this slide. And I'll move the ball here, and you can see that faded in. There we go. And now we're on to the juggling process slide. So I'm going to set fade animations for the avatar and the caption here. Now you can hit the control button and do 2 at once if you'd like to speed things up. There we go. And we already set the slide properties to initial state, but let's just verify. Yep, it's set there, so we're good. And for all these slide layers for the text boxes, let's also set them to fade in. Fade. And I'm just going to tweak something here because it looks like they're kind of off their positioning. So I'm just going to move that down. Set this to fade. Set to fade, and I'll just move that down. Set to fade, and I'll move this down, and then I'm just going to check these a bit for alignment. Okay, so that looks a little bit better. So let's preview this slide. So when I hover over these, you can see the text boxes there, and they look more lined up now. There we go. So this one's ready. I'm just going to save. And now we'll go to step 1. For all the text boxes, we're going to set them to fade. So I'm going to just click on a whole bunch at once here. Set to fade. Oh, looks like I missed one. Okay, so I should have all of them now. There we go. And the avatars here, we have 2 of them, one on top of each other. I'm going to set to fade. And then I will go over here to format and send this one on top to the back so I can get access to the one that was behind, and set the animation for her to fade as well. And then I will go to format and send her to back. There. And let's just double check, but we just did this, so it should be fine. Properties, reset to initial state. We're good. And now let's preview. For step 1, stand comfortably with feet shoulder width apart. Make sure you are wearing comfortable clothing that you can move in, because you will have to bend down a lot at first to pick up balls that you drop as you practice. Start with 1 ball with your arms at a 90-degree angle. All right, it looks good to me. Let's go to step 2, and we'll do a similar thing with the text boxes here. Go to animations and set to fade. The avatar will set to fade. And the tip box will set to fade. Now this is the hotspot over top of the tip box. So we need to go to format and send it to back so we can see the actual box here. And then go to animations and set that to fade. And then we can send that to back again if you'd like. Okay, so those are all set, and there's nothing on the step buttons here, so we're good there. And our property should be at initial state. That's right. Okay, so before we preview this, let's just go check the slide layers, because we want to set an animation on this as well. So the ball here will set to fade. And then we'll go to the tip box here, and we'll set this to fade as well. Okay, let's go back to the main screen, and now let's preview this slide. For step 2, start by throwing the ball from one hand to the other. The ball should arc at about eye level. Keep your arms at a right angle with your elbows in. Practice this until you feel your throws are fairly consistent. To help with consistency, try throwing the ball with your eyes closed. And now if we mouse over the tip box, you can see it fade in there. Okay, so that's done. Now let's go to step 3, and we'll do a similar thing. So set the text boxes to fade. All right, so those are set to fade, and the avatar set to fade. And the tip box will send this hotspot to back and make the tip box fade in. And then send that to back if you'd like the hotspot on top. Go back to animations. So we have everything set there. And now let's go check the slide properties. Set to initial state, that's right. And now let's go to the tip 2 slide layer and set this to fade in. and then throw 2 balls. We'll set those to fade in. And let's go back to the main screen. Now we'll preview this slide. For step 3, use 2 balls, 1 in each hand. Start by throwing 1 ball as in the previous step, but this time before it comes to land in your other hand, throw the second ball underneath it. The balls should cross in the air and each one should be caught with the opposite hand. Practice catching each ball. Okay, so that looks good, and then if we mouse over the tip box, you can see it fade in there. So that's all for this video. In part 2, we will continue on with step 4.